Hello.
Hello?
I think we're good. Welcome everybody to episode 9 of the PUGCast.
What's up?
God, I'm out of breath. I had to run downstairs and grab the book really quick, and I did leg day the other day, and I'm not doing good right now.
Oh man.
But
I'm still hurting from Friday, so I feel you.
Stairs
You
are
are
not.
so
are
lucky
not my
that you guys
friend.
have gyms open.
Well, we don't. I have like a private gym situation, so yeah, we don't actually like 24-hour fitness and stuff isn't open. So
Yeah, true. You're in Minnesota, right?
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm in New York City. So everything's close.
Yeah, fair. I think we're gonna get rolled back because nobody's taking it seriously, and yep, our numbers are terrible again. So any minute
Pretty
now.
scary times.
Yeah, definitely.
But as long as you're happy and healthy.
Yep, exactly.
Well, so far so good.
Again, guys, welcome to the PUGCast, the number one WoW podcast in my opinion, probably. So today we're joined.
Science.
Yeah, exactly. It's confirmed by science. We're joined with our special guest. It's Roux is the last name, right? Roux?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Madeleine Roux,
Roux,
the author of a very good book, Shadows Rising. Look at this. Wowee. I got my. What's up?
Oh no, I thought that the stream was a little scuffed, but it's good now.
Oh no, yeah, we should be
All
good to go. Again, Madeleine, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to come on. I know that we are nobody in the WoW podcast scene, so
yeah, I told her before that we literally just started this stream, this podcast like maybe at the beginning of quarantine.
Yep.
And we've just been loving doing it. It's been the highlight of our week. Like, we're not that huge, but we just like get all of our friends on and we just talk about how we think of like, Shadowlands and everything. And I just saw you got into the beta.
Yeah.
So
last night.
if you need a group for dungeons or anything, let us know.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I don't know how much I'm actually going to be playing. I kind of just wanted to go check out my character. I want to be surprised, but
we all do. But I'm too hyped and I can't contain myself, so I got to play the whole thing. But that actually leads me into a question of mine. Your character, I saw that nice video you made going to visit your character.
Yeah.
And did you have any input of like as to like what character you wanted in the game, or they just said, oh, we're going to put you in as a Maldraxxus person?
No, it was more just a like, hey, would you be okay with this if we use your name? So I kind of like, that was really the only thing I had to say, and I just said, yeah, of course, that would be awesome. I didn't realize it would be like quite so literally my name. I mean, it's fine, but it was like a shock, obviously. Yeah. And then I knew like, generally speaking, like, oh, you'll probably be in Maldraxxus and stuff. But
nice.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to like pick or anything, which is totally fine. I'd be happy with anything. It's fine.
I don't know. There's a spot in Bastion where like the little owl people deadlift and go to the gym. So I thought that would have been a better spot for you.
That would have been absolutely perfect. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I haven't seen that yet. I mean, she's a big undead gladiator, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm sure she deadlifts.
Yeah,
exactly.
She deadlifts the souls of her enemies, I'm sure. So
that's right. I bet she's got like spikes on the on the bar or something. Like that.
Hell yeah.
Spike barbells, yeah. So we always start every single podcast with just like a quick question. It's like, how did you get started playing WoW? Like, what is your WoW origin story? What expansion did you start in? Who got you interested in all that kind of stuff? So
sure, yeah. So I played the RTS games kind of on the backs of my older brothers because they had they kind of helped me build my first PC, and they were into the old-timey games, and so I would sort of like watch them play and then try to play and be terrible. I was super young, so yeah, and then I kind of fell out of gaming in general when I was later high school, also university years. I kind of just stopped. I was doing other stuff. And then I would say like in the middle of university, I was dating someone who played World of Warcraft. And I was like, oh, this is like, I've heard of this. Like, it's like, I don't think my computer can run it though. Like, I don't know. This is so intense. And they're like, oh, it's fine. Like, you can use my machine or we'll get you an upgrade. And so, yeah, he kind of like got me into it. And he had like a pretty serious raiding guild and all this stuff. So I got sort of like grandfathered in. and everyone helped me level as quickly as possible.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was pretty cool. So I was in vanilla, and then I played like pretty seriously and / rated until I would say like Wrath, and then I kind of like fell away again because I had other stuff going on, and then came back. So yeah, I've come and gone for a long time, and now I more or less play kind of solo, and every once in a while I'll jump into a group or whatever, or a raid. But yeah, so that's my origin story.
Nice. And then one thing I wanted to ask, because I was watching, I didn't get to finish it. I really want to finish it, but I was watching the novel interview you did, and you were talking about how you were trying to be an archaeologist, or you were an archaeologist, and then you decided to say, I'm just going to be a writer. What? Because I'm somebody who is trying to transfer, like, switch careers. I studied hospitality. Sorry for the motorcycle in the background.
You'll hear sirens the whole time. I live right by a firehouse. So.
Yeah, but I got a degree in hospitality, and then as soon as I left college, I'm like, I want to do post-production and video editing and stuff like that. So I've been trying to like switch careers. So I'm always fascinated to hear like how that goes for other people. So
yeah, I mean, I wasn't really a career yet because I was just going to study. So I think that makes it a lot easier, just sort of making a decision that doesn't impact a lot yet. I hadn't like declared a major or anything even. So yeah, I went initially for anthropology, archaeology, with hopefully going into having a focus on Egyptology. And then I took probably, I don't know, a semester to 3 semesters of that kind of stuff, and just realized like I enjoy this, but I'm not good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is a struggle. Like, if I want to do this, it's going to be hard. And I don't really think I have like, I just didn't think I had what it would take. I also had a professor who was awful. He's a sweet person. I liked him outside of class, but he could not teach to save his life. It was the most boring. Like, he made dry content even drier, if that's possible. Wow. So, so I was just sort of like, I don't think this is for me. And it was a little bit of a crisis, obviously, because you're like, well, now what? You know, I'm here, I'm paying all this money, I have this scholarship. What am I going to do? So I just realized, I'm still, at the time I was still writing all the time, just for fun, just as like my hobby. And I thought, well, everyone tells me I'm good at this. I really enjoy it. It's something, that I think would like get me out of bed every day if this was my actual job. I just hadn't considered it like possible. And so I kind of was doing it with the thought of, okay, I'll try to get into this. And then if I can't get published, it would at least be nice to teach it. I think I'm good at explaining it to people. So when I got published, I was in the process of applying to grad school with the thought of like, I'll go into teaching at a collegiate level sort of thing for creative writing. But yeah, so as I was graduating, basically I got my first book deal. And so, so I didn't have to do all that. I still really enjoy teaching it, but I do it more now on like a casual level. I'll help friends, or if people have questions, on Twitter or whatever, I'll tell them. But nice. Yeah, so that was kind of how it went. I mean, I don't have a lot of advice for how to change careers.
I just like hearing the success stories. That's all.
Well, it was a lot of luck, a lot of timing, a whole bunch of factors that kind of come together. So
right. Another thing, because we've been playing WoW for so long. I've been playing WoW like since 2007, and like I played WoW before I like read any like fantasy books that like like Harry Potter and Game of Thrones and like Percy Jackson and stuff like that. I like those fantasy kinds of books. So like when I read these books, I actually like imagine stuff from WoW like to help me like visualize. Has anything from WoW, like story wise or like creature wise, like help like inspired you in other projects that you worked on? Because I know you did a lot of horror stuff and other things. Has anything ever from WoW inspired you?
I'm sure that maybe I wouldn't be surprised if like I think it gets referenced in some of my contemporary stuff. Like I have some characters who are just like general nerd types. I think he references D&D, but it's interesting because I think it's coincidentally I wrote a series, the House of Fury series, and a lot of it has to do with like kind of Celtic mythology, and it's so funny because this morning actually I was like, I'm gonna go check out the Ardenweald Covenant, and I was like, this is like straight out of what I was working with in those, so I was like, oh my gosh, like this is all these references, all these clear inspirations of where they took stuff from. I was like, this is so funny because this is exactly what I was researching for 3 years of my life.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I don't know if I would say it's like, I'm sure it has, right? Like I'm sure in some way it's bled into my work because it is such a big part of my life, but I can't think of anything specifically outside of obviously now having done two books for them, which are very inspired by it. But that's an interesting question, but I can't think of any specific examples.
I feel you. And since you mentioned references, I actually just wanted to get this quick question out there. Yeah, I wanted to talk
about the ship reference. Was that was that a Star Wars reference where like he won the ship?
Like the Millennium Falcon?
With the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, no.
I know you're a Star Wars fan.
Just say yes. Just say yes.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, it absolutely.
There it is. You heard it here first.
I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels between Flynn and Han Solo. I think there's a lot of influences on him, but
they're both scoundrels. Yeah.
Scoundrels. Yeah, true. I had a question because there's a lot of different perspectives in the book. A lot of different characters are telling their version of what's happening. What was your favorite perspective to write from? Like, which character did you, I guess, like relate to the most? Because I really liked Turallion and Illyria's part where they use this is gonna be spoilers. So if you don't like spoilers,
get out.
The spoilers was already implied. Yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean, that's why we wanted to do the interview after the book came out because I wanted
to 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Like my favorite was Turallion and Illyria using the void and the light. I thought that was like so like out of left field for what you would consider like an alliance tactic, right?
True.
But when in times of war and whenever the tensions are high, you kind of have to make those harsh decisions. Who is your favorite character to like write in the perspective of?
It's interesting. I actually think Turallion and Illyria were the hardest ones to do because they have so much backstory, but so much of it happens off screen that I think I had to do the most homework I had to do was on them for sure.
Yeah.
I think in terms of just like meshing really easily, I think it's maybe obvious that Flynn was my favorite to write. Every time I got to do a chapter from his perspective, it was like a breeze, right? It just came together really, really naturally. I wish I'd gotten to do more with Tyrande. The one sequence that's from her perspective was probably my favorite thing I got to do.
She was kind of a hard ass in this book.
Yeah,
and I love writing hard ass ladies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's quite a few, honestly, in the book, which is nice. But I that's the one I wish I could have done like 8 more chapters with. But yeah, I think Flynn was the most fun. Honestly, Zakan was a lot of fun. Yeah, because he's such a contrast to a lot of the sort of like old guard
lighthearted
character. He's much younger and more naive, and even though Talanji and Anduin are relatively his same age, they're much more like hardened and experienced. So yeah.
Speaking of, sorry, you want to ask a question, Sean?
Yeah. Speaking of Zappy Boy, like I know that
this was my question I was going to ask.
Somebody's like first interaction with Zakan was he called him Zappy Boy was and I'm assuming that's probably from like the memes that were going around with whenever BFA was first announced and the trailer was announced. Was that like pulled from that and like do you watch like other WoW content creators on YouTube or on Twitch and kind of like how did you get how did you put Zappy
what
was like
there? What was like the conversation like with like creative leads like
Sure.
implementing like stuff from like Twitter into like canon, you know what I mean, like the shipping of Flynn and Shaw and the Zappy Boy stuff. So what was that like?
Sure. I don't know if it was. I mean, I don't really know what the thought process was on their end. This was something that was sort of suggested to me to do, and if it was going to go in, Bwansamdi was the right person to do it. He's generally very fourth wall breaking and has this sort of, I think there's something kind of charming about the thought of him, like not only having the oversight and knowledge of Aloha in universe, but also in our universe, like we're some parallel universe to Azeroth, and like he knows what we talk about or something. I don't know. I thought that was kind of a funny way to do it. And in terms of Flynn and Shaw, I don't think they picked them because they were a popular ship, to be honest. I think there are more popular ships that are, LGBTQ plus that they could have picked. I think it was more the sense that there's sort of some groundwork for it in the game. Their sort of heist into Zarlore, I know, was a big inspiration point for what we did. So I think it was more like, let's pick. Obviously, we want to have have it be prominent characters, and we want to have it be characters where we've laid the foundation, in the game. If you're Alliance, you've kind of gone on this journey with them already a little bit. So
yeah, sure.
Otherwise, I don't really. I tend to actually keep fan sentiment as far from my own inspiration as possible. I think that's a very bad way to write. I think because then you're trying to please everyone, and that's never possible. So to me, I'm much more interested in what's logical for the characters, what's already here in the text of World of Warcraft. How can I push that further? That to me is going to lead you in a lot more interesting directions than what a very vocal minority on social media thinks about XYZ. So, because everyone has their favorite character and their favorite cause and their favorite whatever. So, I think you just be stuck in this never-ending cycle of by indulging one group, you're going to have to piss off another. So to me, it's just you're just writing what's best for the story and the world.
Yeah, true. And I have to say that the way you write, I'm a big fan of, and how you understand these characters. I don't think you've written anything else involving the characters of BFA. So I was pretty blown away of how to the T you got all of their personalities, and I think I would sleep better at night if I knew you were working on the expansion, on Shadowlands, the lore of Shadowlands. So is there?
I'm not. So you're not going to get a very good sleep.
That actually leads into another question. So before writing Shadows Rising, how much did they give you to work with? Because I know,
do they give you a general outline and you just kind of go with what you think it's going to make, connect the dots, or is it?
Yeah, are there any foreshadows in the book that you don't even know about, but that they told you to put in, or?
Yes. I mean, you're given a very, very specific outline. For me, I don't know how it has been for authors in the past. I can only speak to what my experience has been, which is that for both Traveler and this, I was given an extremely detailed outline. So almost chapter by chapter, what needs to happen, who needs to go where, and then it's my job to sort of flesh it out and make it feel organic. And obviously, in the midst of writing it, there were parts where I was I think we need more, or we need to maybe change this, or you know what I mean? Things that seem right in an outline oftentimes don't actually work in practice. So to the extent that I still think, the big stuff, the big picture things never changed. So that was always consistent. But little chapters here and there kind of got added because we needed more or whatever. And there's absolutely things that I was told to take Illyria and Turalyon in the direction that they're portrayed in the book. I don't know what that means for them in the future. I was not told and then they're going to go on to do this. I have no idea. I'm just the messenger, right? And other things too. There's a little bit with Anduin at the end where he kind of has a darker moment. So a lot of that stuff it's dictated for you to do with this is setting something up, but we won't tell you what that is. So
I definitely got that with the Light and Void stuff, because I feel they're at some point going to do a Light versus Void expansion, and I think this is Shadowlands is going to be the start of all of that foreshadowing. But do you have any predictions for Shadowlands, the story, who do you think is going to die, who's on your kill list, what do you think?
That's tough. I don't know. I don't like to speculate because I have a little bit of background information, so I feel it colors what I feel. I will say I don't know necessarily what Sylvanas' endgame is, but I have a feeling it's going to be cool. I have a feeling it's going to be surprising. So I'm really looking forward to see how that kind of gets wrapped up.
Yeah,
I
chocolate. Chocolate is not a fan of
I want her to
Sylvanas.
be okay. Not that I don't like Sylvanas. I just don't like sometimes she can come off as like like the evil like the villain with like the twirly mustache. And she's like me,
Yeah.
and she vanishes away at when it's most convenient. And like I know like that's what like her powers that she got from whoever from the Shadowlands is giving her that ability, right? So I understand like why why she's like that, because she wants to be very elusive and doesn't want to be caught by anybody, because she has her own plan. But I just hope that she's like a raid boss or something. She doesn't have to like I don't think that Blizzard will ever kill off Sylvanas because she's such a big character in the story. But I don't know. I would like to see at least like a raid boss, kind of like like an Azara raid boss.
I think she's gonna die. I think she's gonna die in Shadowlands. That's my prediction.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I think either way, I hope it's something unexpected. I would be interested in. This is something that is a personal opinion. I'm sure this will make a lot of people angry, but I think my biggest disappointment with something like a Kylo Ren character is not getting to see the cost of redemption for someone over a long-term, like kind of a long-term scale, right? Like one thing I would have loved to see with his character is like, what does it take to get back into the good graces of someone if you're essentially a war criminal? Like, is that possible? Should it be possible? Like, I think those are questions that we don't ever really get to see handled in fiction like this. Like, after everything that Sylvanas has done, is there a path back to the Horde for her, right? Like, that to me would be a super interesting. Like, that to me is like, that's a really difficult question. I don't even know if there's an answer to it, but
that's like Garrosh. That's like the Garrosh situation, like he never got like that path to redemption because he was like he ended up being the final boss in Siege of Orgrimmar for 16 months or whatever it was.
Right.
So,
and that's what I don't want to see, right? Because that, to me, that's kind of like an easy way out. That's saying like, oh, well, if you just get to a certain point, like you're irredeemable and then you become a raid boss and then you're gone, right? And that's how we solve the problem. Where to me, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff you could mine if you're saying, well, she did have a greater goal in mind. Maybe it's something that will help us in the end. Who knows, right? Like, would that outweigh what she did at Teldrassil? Like, how do you kind of balance those scales? I don't know. Yeah. That would be what I would be interested in.
It'd be really cool to see like something in the story happen to where it's like, oh, like this is why she was doing this. Like like even though her methods may not have been the most on the straight and narrow path, but she might have like gone off the done some pretty bad things, but at the end of the day, like this is what it was for. And like hopefully, I mean, it'd be cool to see like some sort of like greater evil kind of be like thwarted because of her evil actions or whatever. Because obviously right now everyone thinks of Sylvanas as a villain, right? She's exiled from the Horde. Tyrande wants her head on a head in a bag. Like she's a quest, like she's a quest in Teldrassil, and you're just you got to go kill a boar and bring it back its liver and all that good stuff. So I think it'd be really cool to see something like that where she maybe has like an attempted redemption.
I don't know. Can I ask you a question about Tyrande? Why do you think that she was so stubborn about not helping find Sylvanas? Like, she knows that everybody is like universally angry at Sylvanas, and they wanna make it right with Tyrande and the Night Elves. Like, why do you think she was so stubborn in the book? Just like, yep, you can't do anything besides bring me her fucking head. Like, why was that?
I think because the current approach of the Alliance is to kind of work with the Horde to do that, right? I think she sees, I mean, Anduin was there at the Makara. He helped carry Sourfang's body into the gates of Orgrimmar. There's some symbolic stuff that's happened that I think she sees like, oh, I see. So we'll work with these people to get Sylvanas, even though other members of the Horde were involved in this atrocity. Like, I think to her, that's not good enough. And so her solution is to either wait it out or do it on her own. Or, I think she doesn't want just Sylvanas. There's like other people that I think she holds responsible for what happened. And so to me, it's this sense of like, oh, I get it. So you're all just going to blame Sylvanas, and then once she's gone, we're going to forget about this. Like, true. I think that's her sticking point, is that there's some other things that she's concerned with, and like so
Sylvanas is the start.
Right, like that's one piece of it, right? That's obviously the main piece of it, but it's not the only thing I think that she's interested in seeing. Like there's other elements to justice that I think she would like to see accomplished. And so the fact that Anduin and Jaina and some others are so willing to hang out with the Horde to get that done, I don't think she's down with that. So
I just hope that that the jailer isn't the final boss of Shadowlands. I don't know if that was confirmed. I don't know if they talked about that. But,
I think he's like the big baddie in the expansion.
Of course he's the big baddie. Yeah, but like that's
the
one thing.
One of them. Yeah, there's never just one, right?
Yeah, it always.
True. Of course. I just that's what I was like kind of let down with BFA, where like N'Zoth has been this huge baddie for like a majority of the WoW like universe that we know of, right? And he's been manipulating so many different events like in the background, and then he's finally brought up, and then we, Kamehameha him. But I don't know. I was hoping that like with N'Zoth we would lose the battle, and like we'd have to fight back for Azeroth, and that would be the final battle for Azeroth, right? We'd fight back the old gods and stuff. I hope in Shadowlands that we don't win whatever battle we get. Like the Thanos character, I hope we get a loss, because we're so used to winning all the time.
True. Yeah, and Thanos did catch that huge L in that final battle. And
oh yeah,
I want to talk about that too, because this is actually a question from Twitter that someone had retweeted and wrote their question. So obviously Nathanos is pretty infatuated with Sylvanas, right? Like that's like he idolizes her, and I actually didn't know that, and I may have read this wrong, but Nathanos' body is actually his cousin's body. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I had thought.
I didn't know that.
But that was new to me, and I thought that was really really interesting and kind of very evil and brutal, and that Sylvanas would just use his closest his family member just to basically keep him around. Do you think Sylvanas is just kind of using him as a pawn, or do you think that she like actually cares about him and I know she probably doesn't care about him the same way that he does about her, but do you think that she actually has like any kind of like a loving bone in her body?
Or is she like a Voldemort character that doesn't even feel love?
True.
I think two things can be true at once. I think she can see him as a useful tool and also have fondness for him, right? I think there's absolutely genuine emotion between them. I think she cares for him. I just think her limit for that is different than his, where he will do quite literally anything for her. I don't think the same is true back towards him. So I also think he's kind of created her as his entire world and his entire motivation. She asks him to do something and he does it, even if it's not something he particularly believes in or wants to do. He's devoted to her, not the mission, where she's devoted to the mission, not to him. So okay. I think at the end of the day, she's always going to put her larger plan ahead of everything else.
Sure.
That's her everything, and she's his everything. So there's a tension there always, right? Because ideally in a healthy relationship you would have like an equal amount of devotion. You would be ride or die for each other, not just one of you. So and I think that's what makes their relationship interesting, is that it's toxic and unhealthy and interesting. So.
Well, like the whole like toxic and unhealthy thing kind of just fits hand in hand with the whole Forsaken like ideology, right? Like it's not a normal thing for them to be around. So and then of course they love using blight on pretty much anything and everything that they can use. So so I know like Blizzard gave you like the outline of the story and how they wanted it to to happen, and then you kind of filled in the all of this substance and all that. Did you have to like add any new characters in the story? Like did you have to like say like, hey, like I feel like this would be like a cool character to add? Like is there a way that we can maybe fit that in to kind of enhance the story? Did you have the opportunity to like add a new character or like a new into the lore?
Yeah, I mean Apari is a completely my construct. Her lieutenant is my construct. There's a few like little minor NPCs littered throughout that I came up with. But yeah, I mean, you're doing those things in service to this specific story. I don't have any expectation of like seeing them out in the larger world. I like I wouldn't go into Shadowlands like expecting that to happen. So yeah, I mean, we knew the Zandalari rebels needed some kind of leadership, and so that was up to me to sort of take that on and build the character for that. So she was sort of just whole cloth my invention, and it was nice because I knew she was going to die, so I kind of got to do whatever I wanted with her. Sure. and have a lot of freedom there. And I thought she was a really great way to sort of shed more light on Talanji's past and the Zandalari factions in general, just sort of the way that sort of culture has splintered in a lot of ways because of what's happened with the Horde and being, attacked by the Alliance and all that good stuff. So I mean, if you need to invent someone, that you're allowed to do it. It's just
I thought you did it really well, by the way.
Thank you.
I didn't even realize that Apari wasn't like a character in the lore. I thought that she was just like that's like how it always was. So, that's it. Didn't even exactly. Well, I guess that's a good point. That's true.
Yeah.
Hopefully she feels seamless.
I mean, like with the whole sieging of Dazar'alor when whenever the Alliance attacked and where it was killing the king and I see like that was a really good way of like tying like why Apari is so bitter towards Talanji, because she chose her father over her. She kind of left her in the dust to save the greater good, or try to save the greater good.
Yeah, and the sense of like she stuck by Talanji and the family even after her mom was killed for her rebellion. So yeah, she kind of was like really loyal to Talanji all throughout her life, and then finally something kind of made that loyalty snap. So I think that's kind of a theme throughout too, of people kind of finding where their limit is with someone. But yeah, no, she's just something I came up with, and obviously Blizzard had input and she exists with their blessing. But she's new, so
yeah. Because
I actually I wanted to ask like what your process was like to build up like backstory and stuff for all these new characters that you did create like in this universe.
I mean, I always view most characters as sort of cogs in a machine of the story, right? They need to serve a purpose, even if they feel like they're holistic and they feel like they're well-rounded. At the end of the day, they have to serve a purpose. And so she was sort of this third aspect of the Nathanos and Syrah contingency. They needed a way in on Zandalar. They needed help. They needed a way to blend in. And they were given a really shoestring operation. Sylvanas is like, here, take like a handful of Dark Rangers, go accomplish this, which is pretty impossible. So he had to get wise and kind of find someone who's already, didn't like Talanji and wanted to overthrow her. So so I just thought of, okay, how can we weave this person in so that they have had a full life, in Zandalar. They know it well. They can be our way into sort of this like opposing faction. We can get some of their feelings. We can get some of their motivation. And then having her be sort of like, the childhood playmate of Talanji. That means we get to color in Talanji's backstory and her childhood, which we don't really get to see much of. And just the sense of what is life like if you're a princess, living in the Great Pyramid. So, so that was sort of that thought. And then I wanted to tie her, there's been so many coups. And I was like, well, it makes more sense if she's kind of had a role model for this, if she kind of knows how this works, that she knows how sort of underground rebellion leadership works. So to have her be Yasma's kid, I think, just kind of ties her back into these larger stories and the cycle. I mean, cycles are a big theme in WoW in general. So to have it kind of be another one of those, and to see, what was her breaking point, and to also kind of have this like step up of like, Talanji betrayed her in Apari's eyes, so she wants Talanji dead. Talanji feels like Jane is responsible for her dad's death, so she wants Jaina dead, you know? So, like,
Sure.
there's sort of these scales of revenge and those cycles. So I thought, you know, that would be a nice way to sort of tie that in.
Yeah. You were talking about the coups, rather. I have to say, Horde security sucks.
Not great.
Not great. Orgrimmar, that guy just went right for her. Oh my god! And then right in the middle of the
he came with her. He was part of her entourage, so he was infiltrated anyway. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of nice because you're working with both factions are very depleted. They do not have a lot of resources. They don't have a lot of, you know, soldiers and supplies and things like that. So it is like a very fragile moment for both factions. And I think both of them are expecting like, well, Sylvanas could just turn around and attack it. Like, you know, like at any second she could be like, goodbye, Thunderbluff, or, you know what I mean? Like anything could happen. So, so that's kind of that's always a nice sort of, there's just instant sort of tension and stakes because they're not at the height of their power, either of them right now.
For sure. Yeah. But speaking of, sorry, Shock, but speaking of character development, with I was gonna say Bob Salami with Bob Swamdi. Bob Salami
come from? I've heard it like 40 times now.
It's just the nickname that people on Twitch kind of coined, I guess.
Got it. Okay.
But what was I saying?
You're talking about
yeah. So with he wasn't really like a very liked character, and like he was kind of like an evil guy. Like you didn't really know if he was like, you didn't know his intentions, you didn't know if he was good or bad, whatever. This book kind of painted him in a very good light. Like he was sticking by Talanji like the whole book, and then in the end he did that really nice thing for Talanji and letting her talk to her dad. So what was that kind of like, painting Bob Salami in a nice way? Like what was that kind of like for you?
Bob Salami propaganda.
Bob Salami. We're going through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole point was to sort of just adjust your understanding of him. And, you know, one of the things that gets mentioned is that one of the specific reasons Sylvanas wants him gone is that he seems to be picking sides now. He seems to be like helping the Horde, whereas before he's sort of this chaotic force. He doesn't have an agenda. He doesn't have a side, right? He just kind of likes to mess with everybody. And that's like what gets him up in the morning, right? And so now she's seeing like, wait a minute, he's like choosing to side with the Horde. He's choosing to help Talanji specifically and her family specifically. Like this could be a problem because now, you know, I've done things to harm them. I've done things to harm the Alliance. Like what if he, you know, if he really wants to become a problem for me, he can.
Yeah.
And so we need to like get rid of this because he seems to be like shifting into being a more like, okay, like I'm choosing the Horde or I'm choosing whatever. And I think my perception of him is that he's chosen the trolls, right? Like he is loyal to them. He wants to protect them specifically. He's doing everything he can to keep their souls from going into the maw. This like machine of death is broken, and he's doing everything he can to try and help. I will say he still does some pretty shady stuff in this book. I mean, he flat out lies to Zakan, you know, tricks him into service, and he's still his old self. He's still a trickster god at the end of the day, but yeah, I think he has a genuine fondness for Talanji. I think he is impressed by her and her sort of ability to stay alive and her ability to, you know, kind of hold everything together. And I think he has a larger agenda. He does have a larger motivation, and he's decided that the best way to accomplish his plans is through her and the trolls, and maybe the Horde in a larger sense. So, yeah, he's sort of picking his side and, you know, putting his money down on the table in terms of, all right, like I'm betting on these guys, so I'm gonna, if they'll help me, I'll help them, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And then she ends up keeping him around, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I did like how like she like didn't go back on the deal that she was kind of forced into. Yeah. But I
wanted to renegotiate it for her so that it felt like she was sort of taking back her power a little bit, you know, and re-entering into it in a sense of like, no, I'm consenting to this, like, we are working together now. You have to make some concessions too. It's not just me sacrificing, right? Like we're both sort of making compromises here. Yeah.
I think because it's, you know, I think the reason why maybe Boam Samedi was, you know, is siding with the trolls and with the Horde and is probably because it's like a symbiotic relationship. Obviously, if Sylvanas, you know, wipes out all of the trolls, there's nobody's left to, you know, to worship him. And, you know, in the book, you know, they were attacking his shrines, and he was getting weaker, you know, as the story went on, because, you know, and obviously all of his power came from the necropolis, in the story. So, or like that's like the source of his power. So, you know, obviously if the trolls lose, then he loses too. So I feel like he's kind of maybe forced to, you know, work with them a little more and be not as chaotic, you know, kind of follow the rules a little bit, which is probably something he doesn't like very much at all, you know.
I think it's in a lot of ways an alliance of convenience for him, right? He like, okay, I need these guys, you know. I think he's really up against the wall in this book. He's really like in a vulnerable position, and he's realizing like, okay, I have to play this really carefully, or, you know, I think he in BFA feels very, you know, invulnerable in a lot of ways. He doesn't have that sense of like, oh, I'm in trouble, and someone can get to me. I think he feels really untouchable. And then now he's seeing like, that's actually not the case. And I am vulnerable. So I better, you know, I better play my cards right.
For sure. I definitely like Boam Samdi a lot more now after this book. But there's actually one part in Shadowlands that I kind of want some clarification on. I mean, in Shadows Rising, sorry. The part where Zappy Boy almost dies and gets sucked into the maw.
When he gets into the tar pit, right?
Something like that. Yeah, he was talking about seeing
on fire.
Yeah, he was talking about seeing a lot of purple. And then I've been watching too much Pyromancer, so when I think purple, I think the Void, man. So I got a little confused. Does the Void have anything like to do with the Shadowlands?
I could neither confirm or deny anything on that score. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought that was a little Easter egg for the eagle-eyed viewers.
What I will say is that any descriptions of the Maw, the Jailer, any descriptions of things directly in Shadowlands were very carefully done. So that's all I'll say about that.
I did like the description more, like, you know, like the chains and the giant spires and you know, giant rock formations that you had described, because you know, obviously I've been watching some streamers play the beta and, you know, go into the Mog, go into Torghast, and I mean it fits exactly, you know, like to what the game design, you know, was in the actual game. This is just kind of like a question on Shadowlands itself and what you want to do in Shadowlands. You main a druid, right? That's I'm assuming you probably have multiple druids, but which covenant are you most excited about to join in Shadowlands? Like, which one are you? I know like Ardenweald is pretty druidic, so is that the one that you're into, or?
So far, I've decided if I can get I just rolled a classic orc warrior, and I'm trying to power level her because I've just fallen in love with orcs lately. And so, so if I can get her to 120 before Shadowlands, she's going to go Maldraxxus, and my Night Elf Druid will go Ardenweald. Those will kind of be my first two. Yeah.
Nice. See, I'm like a lore guy. I want to know everything that's going on. So I've been playing this game for so long. I have more than 4 characters. So
I'll have one for each. Yeah. I just for my initial kind of 2, because I think like the aesthetic of like the bones and the spikes will be great for a warrior. And the druid. I mean, the Ardenweald aesthetic, I gotta say, is 100% up my alley. I just went there this morning and was poking around it. I am obsessed with it.
It's very pretty.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
I love how like in the Shadowlands there are like those contradictions of like, you know, Bastion and Ardenweald are very like pretty and like vibrant looking places, and then Revendreth and Maldraxxus are really edgy and like you're kind of like
broken. They look broken.
I like that. So I'm pretty hyped to just explore.
I like too that I was doing a little bit of the Maldraxxus questing, and that they're not spinning it necessarily as like if you end up in Maldraxxus in the afterlife, you've like done something bad. It's more that like it's where you belong because of XYZ. Like, you know, you encounter Draka there, and she's such a hardcore warrior that like, no, this is where she kind of thrives. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I like that it's not this sense of like, oh, you've been like banished, you know,
you're
like
naughty boy, you go to Maldraxxus.
I thought that was a nice touch. I was really,
but that's like,
really
that's
surprised.
The Maw though. Like the Maw is where like all
it's like Arthas,
That's
like
and
hell
Jenkins the Griefer from South Park.
Well, currently everyone's going there. So
that's
true. Actually,
good or bad.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I make sure to say it on every episode of PUGCast that we do, because I started playing WoW after the South Park episode, and shameless plug, I made World of Warcraft Machinima, Make Love Not Warcraft Part 2. You can find it on YouTube. And I desperately want to see Jenkins the Griefer as an NPC in the MOM. Okay, I'm just putting it out every single podcast that we do. I gotta say it until I see it. I'll even start a petition.
Okay. Well, I haven't been there yet, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet, but I'll be waiting. I'll be spamming the macro target Jenkins to find him. One other random question. In BFA, there's like a very small reference to Before the Storm. There's like a little, I don't know if you know, there's like a graveyard.
Small reference. Don't like straight up characters come back? I think there's like two characters invented in Before the Storm that like...
Yeah. But I'm saying like there's something like really special in. Yeah, there's an Easter egg. There's in one of the war fronts, in the Arathi war front, there's like a graveyard for like all of the undead people that died in that attack.
I love that. That was a cool touch.
That was really great.
I saw that.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll add some kind of like Easter egg to Shadows Rising in Shadowlands, or do you not know, or did they tell you can't tell us? Or
I don't know. I'm hoping. I've definitely like made some small suggestions, but can't say.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But because I don't want to say something that's not in there and people go looking for it.
Right.
But hopefully, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it would be really cool. There may be big ones. There may be direct callbacks. I have no idea. I don't know if Zakan's gonna look like himself or if he'll be burned. I don't. I have no idea. So
that'll be cool if you got an updated model. Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, there's burn character creation marks now. So
like new scars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I guess like timeline wise, when I know this, like, the epilogue ends with Sylvanas, shattering the helm, at the top of Ice Crown. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that she breaks it because of the cinematic. But where does this story fit in the story before Shadowlands? Is it like right up to right before Shadowlands happens, or is it like a couple months back and then the epilogue is later on down the road?
I don't actually know that. I would assume they're close. I think they're very close. I don't think there's like a big amount of time between the Horde kind of wrapping things up with Talanji and going home to Orgrimmar or whatever, however you want to interpret that, and then what we see in the epilogue. I don't think there's a huge time jump.
Okay.
But I wasn't given a specific amount of time, so I can't really answer.
That's fair.
No, that's fair.
I think that might be intentional. There may be stuff they need to do right in the pre-patch to kind of bridge what's happening. So that may be intentionally loosey-goosey, so they can make the best choice to make it all fit together.
Yeah, I'm excited to go into the pre-patch because now I'm going to start actively looking for references to the book in the actual game to see how did this end? What happened with this?
I'm almost more excited for the pre-patch than I am Shadowlands in a lot of ways, just because I know it's always one of the most exciting parts of the game for me. But also I'm going to be so looking oh my gosh, are there any teeny tiny references?
So. True.
I'd be really curious to see if they ever had because obviously Anduin temporarily dyed his hair and wore some. Tried to wear some raggedy clothes, and try to be like a normal, young adult going to the pub, going to Goldshire Inn, and I think that it would be really cool to see Blizzard kind of in random times of the night, have that.
That'd be really cool.
Sitting in the corner
booth. Jarek walking back.
Jarek, having him in the inn. I think that'd be so cool. Yeah, Anduin. Who's Anduin? I only know Jarek. True. Yeah,
that would be hilarious. You could have some pretty funny text when you click on him and stuff. But I don't know. I have no. You write the book expecting nothing of it will necessarily show up, right?
Yeah.
You're just because you're there to kind of perform your function and do your job, and anything I see as a reference will just be a bonus for me. Obviously, that'll be
for sure.
Cool. mean, I know like certain setups that we did, right, like with Illyria Trellian, like that's going to pay off.
Sure.
That like that stuff comes back. It just may not be like a specific line, or you know what I mean? Like there may not be an exact, or like Flynn and Shaw, like that's real moving forward. So those things in the book matter. They're just like, I don't know if there's going to be like a actual call out, you know, to something. So
right. So that leads me to my other question. What in your mind went down in the Flynn and Shaw meeting that we didn't get to see?
Wow. I wouldn't want to speculate. I'm sure some fan fiction writers have already done.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm sure they've been on that since years before the book came out. Exactly.
I volunteered to do it if they ever want me to do it, but I think they like to keep things PG, so I'm not sure that would be the best move.
Exactly.
I hope they both sort of get to catch up and have some closure. I think I think Shaw definitely owes Flynn for nearly getting himself killed sailing back through that storm to get those documents to safety, and sort of they played it's funny because they played a big role in the Horde actually stepping up and coming to save the day. So it was sort of like a dual attempt there. The Alliance definitely helped them. So I don't know. I hope they have a great night though. I don't I think it'll be a late one. I don't think it'll be
maybe.
Yeah.
And have you ever like written your own stories like based off of your own characters, like just for like fun, or I don't know if you play like on like an RP realm, but have you ever like made like a backstory for your characters on like whenever you're making them, or do you just go like, oh, this kind of looks cool, let's just play this?
It kind of depends. It's funny, I've never RP'd in Warcraft. I used to RP a lot in other MMOs, but
there's a humongous community for RP.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it's always tempting, but I don't know. I feel like it's so hard to like jump into because people have these like, now 15 years of backstory that they've been weaving into their character. I think about it for sure. Like, when I'm creating a character in the character creation, I think, okay, like, what was their life like? I do it for just like how their look is going to be. I like to think about that. Maybe what their job was before they became an adventurer or something like that. But yeah, no, I don't do a ton of RP. I don't really think about it in that way, just because, like, again, I play pretty solo these days.
Sure.
But yeah, it's always something I'm kind of like tempted to go dip a toe into, but then it's like so intimidating because it's such an intense, sort of thing, and people they have so much backstory built up. So I kind of like to just go sit and watch. Sometimes I'll kind of just,
it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it can be pretty fun.
Go hang out in Moondor for a little bit. Yeah.
I definitely think about like, I do keep in mind sort of like, picking covenants and things like that. I think I will definitely think about more sort of like their personality and where they would be drawn to, like I'll probably bring a warlock to Revendreth, I think I'll try to do that kind of thing. So I know it's probably disappointing. I'm not an RPer.
No, not at all.
It's I did in other games, but it's also like there's so much drama that winds up happening that I kind of I stay out of it. So
yeah, for sure. I like to watch all the meme videos. Like there's a guy that I watch on YouTube who like stalks other people RPing. It's the most entertaining content I've ever seen. It's so funny.
Like,
do you remember that really?
Story?
Yeah,
I do. I am familiar with that one like really infamous like the tram night elves. I remember that.
Yeah. I think that's the same guy actually. Yeah.
And I can't even believe that we've almost been doing this for an hour. It's kind of just flown by, and we always kind of,
flies.
We typically try to keep our shows to about an hour just for consumability, but. What we always end, last question is always, what are you most excited about going into Shadowlands or going to the next expansion?
Sure. Honestly, now having gotten to spend like an hour in beta, I'm really excited. Like I was excited, but now I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be like incredible. I think, I think I was, obviously I got to write the pre-book, so I was stoked no matter what, but like getting to see it and getting to see the new locations, and this is going to sound so stupid and cheesy, but like, when was the last time your character, your 120, heard the like, you've discovered a new area sound? That little
true.
time.
Yeah.
Like straight up drugs. Like,
it's true. It's true.
When I hear it, I'm just like, I get like full body chills. Like, oh my gosh, something new, something new.
Yeah.
Like, so exciting. I love the new character creation. Like, all of my main getting an update.
So happy that that's finally getting in. Yeah.
That my night elf is getting that side braid undercut. Like the second you get in there, she's gonna get little leaves in her hair. She's gonna look snatched. So, yeah, that I'm excited for. Honestly, this is the biggest thing. Again, nerdy. I guess this whole thing is nerdy though.
We're all nerds. Yeah.
So the beta, I don't know if people haven't watched or seen any of the content. There's no music.
Not yet. No. So, I'm the most hyped for the music.
Yeah. So I was wandering around these areas like, I am so excited to hear what it's going to be like, to hear the ambiance, to hear the little touches, and then the music. Like, I think I'm the most excited for new music because I am an absolute sucker for the music in this game.
Me too.
I listen to it all the time. So to have new stuff, and because the Covenants have such strong personalities, like, I'm so stoked to hear what each of their themes are. And
for sure.
I think that might be my biggest excitement right now.
I would love for Blizzard to kind of have like a Ozzy Osbourne kind of esque feel to the music in Maldraxxus, you know?
Oh, it's
like
gonna be
dark. But like heavy metal, because like, you know, they normally do like, you know, orchestra music, right? In most of their, in most of their zones. But it'd be cool to have like really like intense orchestra music playing while you're in Maldraxxus, because it's a pretty daunting, intense zone. You know?
For sure.
Very
sure.
Has those like gladiator vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Because the dungeon is like a gladiator arena, so it's gonna be pretty sick. But
that's my big excitement right now is
for sure. Yeah,
and
I love scores.
To like the new load-in screen, right? Hearing the theme, that's gonna like, I'm ready for that.
I'm sure we'll get that in the pre-patch too. I'm so hyped for that. Yeah, I'm big on scores. I used to go and see Ramin Djawadi, the composer for Game of Thrones, in concert.
Yeah, I've been to a few of those here. Those are
so
really
good.
Fun.
So good.
I don't know.
But anyways, thank you.
We're cultured here in Texas, man. We don't have none of that stuff.
Yeah, true. That's probably true.
We got none of that stuff down here, brother.
I'm sure Star Wars in concert must have come to Dallas or Houston. I'm sure they've come. Yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
It is. It's amazing.
I've always wanted to see Lord of the Rings in concert too. Oof.
I saw I think it was I saw Fellowship of the Ring project like on the screen with a full orchestra and choir.
Yeah.
It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life.
I would probably just cry.
We all did. The whole row of friends were just like, okay, we all know we're gonna cry, right? Okay,
no judging. Yeah, cool.
It's not like that one, like some of those moments where it's just like choral, like, you know, like one little kid comes on stage and sings the high note, and you're like, oh boy, here we go.
I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Yeah. Again, Madeleine, thank you so much for joining us. On this episode. I was super excited. I was like, as soon as Adam told me, I ran down to my house. I was like, we got author! Wow, author book!
I've been so excited for this for a very long time. I have to say, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning this morning. My sleep has been shit, and I was like, damn, I'm so hyped for today, and I just stayed up. I've been pumping all day.
Well, I hope it lived up to the hype.
It did.
Awesome. Thank you again so much. Guys, if you do want to buy the book, if you just type !book in the chat, there's a link to Amazon. You can, buy the book and definitely read it. It was such a good read, and I'm definitely excited to see how it all turned out in the next expansion. But thank you guys so much again for watching. And Madeleine, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and don't play too much beta. Don't spoil it for yourself. But
I have to go to work.
Work? Oh, gross.
I gotta write books. I know. Shocking.
True. Well, hopefully many more WoW books, because I just love the way you write, and I want to see you continue the World of Warcraft lore.
Yep.
Thank you.
So thank you again for coming and being a part of our first real interview.
True.
This has been amazing. True. Yeah.
We normally just have like our friends on who are in the Twitch community. So
exactly. True.
Really special. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. I also just wanted to say thank you for making yourself so available to like everyone that has reached out to you, because it's been really great to see like the big like lore people in the community like actually get to discuss all this stuff with you, and it's been really great to see you on like everybody's podcasts and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's
so thank you again. Yeah.
Hopefully, if BlizzCon is ever back in style and I'm ever able to go, I am definitely bringing my copy. If I run into you,
for sure,
love to have you sign it.
I was gonna be there this year. It's like the biggest disappointment of my year, other than obviously people dying in droves from a pandemic. That's the biggest bummer of the year. But
no
my
BlizzCon,
personal bummer, my personal sadness is that I will not be going to BlizzCon for the first time. However, the next time it happens, I 100% will be there no matter what. So.
Awesome.
Would love to get the chance to meet you. That would be great.
Well, thanks, guys, and I'm going to continue streaming normally, but we're going to wrap up the show, so we're going to take like a quick 5-minute break, but thanks again, guys.
Thanks for everybody for coming.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.